Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. I am so excited. A very dear friend of mine from ancient times, whatever, and she's such a genius, and she's coming on our show today. Her name is Rebbetzin Shira Smiles. Thank you. Welcome, and so happy to have you here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, so I just want you to start with your Devar Torah, and then we'll take it from there. So go, take it away.
So I'm working on a new book now about Jewish rituals, minhagim, from birth to death. And one of them that's found there is the minhag in the Ashkenazi community of badekin, of veiling the bride before the chuppah. It's probably one of the most emotional moments where you see they haven't seen each other for a week, and he walks down and the music, and he covers the kala, and then they bless her, etc. So the questions asked is, why is he doing this? Like, what's the point of covering the kala? So many people answer, it's because he wants to make sure that it's really the right kala. Remember the story of Yaakov Avinu thinks that he's marrying Rachel, Imenu, and he wakes up in the morning, Leah, here she is. Where did she come from? And therefore, he wants to make sure it's the right woman. Well, if that was the case, he shouldn't be covering the kala. He should be uncovering her.
Wow.
Right? She's the right woman. Pick it up. Yep, good. Why is he covering her? So there's a beautiful essay from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson based on the Balatanya, and it's absolutely stupendous. And it's really the core of marriage. He says, you take a look at the Torah, you find that Yaakov Avinu hated Leah. How's that possible? So he explains this on a philosophical and a emotional level. He says, we know mystically that Rachel Imenu represents the revealed world, the world we see, the world we experience, and Leah Imenu represents the concealed world, the hidden world, the Alma, the Cassia, the concealed hidden world. Every person has two parts to them. They have the Rachel Imenu that you see, that you know, that you like, and then there's Leah Imenu, which is the unconscious, which is a deeper part of ourselves, which is the hidden parts of ourselves. When the chassan is going to look at the kala, what he's seeing without the veil on is the Rachel Imenu. And he's saying, I'm marrying you for all that I know and all that I see, and your wonderful sense of humor, and your, giving, and your whatever qualities, beautiful qualities she has. And then he covers her. And then he makes such a dramatic statement. You know what? I'm also marrying you for the parts that I don't see, for the parts that are the Leah Imenu parts. And the Balatanya, that Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson brings down, says, these parts, which we all have, are the parts that trigger us, the parts that make us uncomfortable. If we don't understand something, that's what we mean we hate it, because I don't know what to do with it. It's out of my control. Like, I can deal with things that I understand, but this I don't understand. And this just gets to me. And as he says, our conscious self marries our conscious self, and our unconscious self marries our unconscious self. And that's what the chassan is really saying to the kala. I'm ready to marry you for the entire package. But listen to this, it's absolutely gewaltig. Yaakov Avinu, the Chumash says that after he marries Rachel, it says, Hashem sees that Leah is hated, and he opens her womb, Vayftachet Rachma v'Rachel akara, and Rachel Imenu's barren. You know why? Because the only way to grow is through Leah Imenu. The only way to grow in a marriage is through the struggle. The Rachel Imenu, everything's beautiful and wonderful. It's a wonderful life, but it's a barren life. The life of real growth is a life of struggle. However, one never marries directly the Leah part. We marry the Rachel Imenu part, and the Leah Imenu part is schlepped along. And I think that this is really one of the greatest challenges that we have in marriage, is that one day, and sometimes after a week, a year, a month, different time periods, we wake up and say, OMG, I'm Leah. I thought I married a Rachel, and we don't know what to do with it. And that commitment which is what the Bedekin is really talking about.
Wow. So it's beautiful. How does a person shift their mindset to be able to embrace the Leah part of our husbands is kind of what you're saying.
100%. So a lot of this is first of awareness. And this is education, where people have this, and I work with 18-year-old, people have this view, and it's really the influence of our secular society. We're all going to live happily ever after, and marriage is going to be perfect, and we're just going to, be in Israel for a year drinking our, what do they drink? That iced coffee? I don't know what they drink. Our bugaboos, and we're all going to be happy, and we're going to live happily ever after. There has to be an education that there is complexity to people, and to be open to that reality. Like we tell the chassan and kala, you're going to have your first fight and you're going to survive. We also have to tell them that what you're marrying is parts of a person who you don't know and aren't aware of. And here's the key, you're committed to them wholeheartedly, the whole kit and caboodle.
Hmm. It's very hard. What used a very apropos word, which is trigger. In other words, it seems like whatever is hidden in our husband was designed by Hashem to, so how does a person, you know, uh, you know, I hear a lot of time in my work, "Well, I don't know, I married the right person and whatever, and he's so annoying and he does this and he doesn't even, he doesn't take care, hygiene, personal hygiene, or, I mean, there's some, or finances. He just is, he just spends and spends and spends. He doesn't care. They're real issues. They're real triggering issues, real hidden things that you didn't know about the person. And how does a woman learn to forget about embrace them, live with them? I mean, how do they get over that hurdle and not just say he's bad and wrong? He's not, I didn't sign up for this. And that's the biggest millennial thing I hear is I didn't sign up for this. Like, is that we're all entitled and deserve whatever, and not just millennials. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to diss anybody, whatever. And I myself am a millennial, so we're good. No, I'm joking. But it's a it kind of a whole, like you said, the Goyish Welt coming in, and we have this entitlement that I didn't sign up for this. So how does a person deal with that and maturely handle it in a way that is
It's such a great
livable?
question, and the question is going to be stronger than any answer because it's really an emotional question. At the same time, it's really about awareness of why we're here on planet Earth. If we're here on planet Earth, again, Western mentality has really impacted us, that I'm here to enjoy, as you said, entitlement, and I have to live, you know, everything has to be about giving me and making me feel good and making me happy. You will never be able to handle this. Finished.
Yeah.
Because you're not open to anything but you. At the same time, if a person is able to say and shift a little bit, why am I here? I'm here for self growth. I'm here to become the better version of myself. And I have a little secret to tell you. It's not just our husbands. Our kids are triggers. Our kids also push buttons that we didn't even know we had in us. I'm like, oh my gosh, where did you come from? And you're like, can I just send you back with another model that can come along?
Right.
And it's not by accident that we have this child who's going to push us to our limits. It's because we have to ask ourselves, what is it in me that has to shift, that has to change? What are the middos that I need to work on to be able to best handle a husband who, and best be able to have the patience for, or the commitment for? It's really work of middos, and that is what marriage is about. And when we don't work enough on middos, and we think, oh, I'm good enough. I went to Beis Yaakov, and I learned, and I sent my kids to from school, like working on middos. That's why we're here. We're here to be the best version we can be. And it's interesting that Siva Shalom speaks about that you can get to Olam Haba after 120 years, and Hashem says, tell me about yourself. And you say, wow, let me tell you, I have such a great track record in mitzvos and in chesed and. And Hashem says, right, you know what? You have an excellent track record. But that's not why I sent you down here. I sent you down here to work on one particular midda. And I helped you out. I gave you a husband who was going to trigger you in this midda. And I gave you him as a gift. What you do with it?
Yikes. Yikes. Okay. Okay. I hear. My question is like, how does, you know, how do you, that's a very mature way, and theoretical and whatever, but like my life is frenzied. I got this. I have to return that email, and the principal called, and the blah, 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 whatever. Like, okay, so now let's say I'm going to do the introspection necessary to think that through. But how do you make, how do you bring that, philosophical idea, which I'm totally on page. It's hard, but okay, I hear. How do you make that into incorporate that into a shift in ourselves so that we can fulfill our shlemus?
So you're asking a great question. I think the first step has to be uh, a word that Rav Yosef Nehemiah says on the bracha of Sheva Brachot of Kol Mitzalot Chatanim Mechupatam, right? The voice of the bride of the grooms when they leave the chuppah. Why are we mentioning that? Because when a bride and groom leave the chuppah, we hope, yeah, 99.9% say, this is it. This is the moment of my life, right? Kigan Eden Miketem, right? Just like Adam and Chava had no other choice, this was the perfect basher. That's how we have to feel when we walk out of the chuppah. The chassan and kala have to have that commitment. This is the one meant for me. If we have that clarity, it makes it so much easier. When we start to think, did I make the right choice?
Mhm,
Really? I had so many other boys or girls. Like, why did I choose it? Like, where was I?
mm,
So then we run into problems.
mm,
And we have to understand, and again, it's complicated, and there is room for divorce, and Torah has that. At the same time, we walk into marriage not assuming divorce. Yeah, we
mhm,
walk into
mhm.
marriage with assumption of commitment. Yeah,
Right.
and that has to be first and foremost my mindset. I didn't make a mistake. He is the
Mhm,
perfect one for me. The moment I'm able to embrace that, a shift happens within me. The moment that I'm on the fence, and I'm always asking myself, it could be 30 years later,
mm.
what was I thinking? Then we're never going to be able to make that shift over that this is the work that has to get done.
The thing that you said that Hashem is asking, I gave you a man who was supposed to trigger you 400 times. In that is like a mind. It's a whole mind shift that is very, very potent and very valuable in terms of, when our husband's doing that annoying thing yet again. I told you not to slam the door 4,000 times. So, maybe that was my cue to get a little door closer that closes it automatically and spend the $27 on, or I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, how to, improve my own ability to manage in the world or manage logistics or whatever. Who knows? Or just not get mad or whatever. Um, so
That's
that's,
exactly it. You
yeah.
don't need to get mad. You have the ability to choose to say, there goes the door again. Wow, I'm up to 4,322. I'm
Yeah.
keeping track. Well, that's pretty good.
Uh,
It's a different
Interesting.
reaction.
Yeah. How does a person, because I do get a lot, I think I married the wrong person, and um it's a disease. It's like the Yetzer Hara's most awesome tool to stare shalom bayis, to get to make
Right.
shalom, it's really, really effective to get that in a person's mind. And then everything the person does, they're like using that as ammunition or an excuse not to give, as you were saying, before, when we talked before. Maybe talk a little bit on this because you said it on the Google Summit, but maybe talk a little bit here about being a giver because I thought that was very powerful, and I think that's really, part and parcel of what you're talking about now.
100%. Because when we ask ourselves, why are we here in this world? And if it's just about entitlement and me and self, so then my whole life, I'm just going to be walking around frustrated and upset. And really, as Rebbetzin Smiles says, I'm going to feel empty and I'll never be able to fill myself because I'll never get whatever I want. And that's going to frustrate me in all my relationships. Why aren't they just filling me more and more? When we understand that the reason we're created, Rav Chaim Volozhin, lehetiv lachrine, I'm here to be a giver. So then I look at for opportunities to give. And the fascinating thing is when I look for the opportunities to give and I'm wired to just see how can I help other people, I suddenly find myself being more full than I can even imagine. Because this is the language of the soul. This is really what feeds me. You know, the Medrash in Kohelet has a great mashal. We'll just make it a little bit more contemporary. It's imagine, don't ask how this should have happened. A villager marries a princess. How that happened, we're not asking. And one day he says to her, I am going to make you the most scrumptious food in the village. And she says, wow, I can't wait. And she goes out for the day and she comes in. He says, close your eyes. And the smell is horrible. But she doesn't say anything. She's a good wife. She closes her eyes. She sits down and he says, are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. And okay, open your eyes. It's potato soup. Potato soup? Yeah, that's the delicacy of our village. This is potato soup. Yeah. She says, potato soup. That's such a coarse meal. Who eats potato soup? A princess doesn't eat potato soup. We're the Bat Melech. We're the princess. What do we feed ourselves with? And when we feed ourselves with these cheap entertainment and distractions, our neshama screams out, potato soup. Give me something that's really going to feed me. And that's being a giver. And the more we look at for opportunities to give to others, the more we find ourselves being filled and finding real happiness in our lives. And those are the opportunities we have to look for. And again, I know what's going through people's head. Well, if I keep on giving this one, I give that one, and I give that one, I'm just a shata. And then I'm a doormat, and everyone steps over me. You're only a doormat if you make yourself a doormat. If you have that godly quality of I'm a giver and I'm proud to be a giver and I'm an person who emulates the Ribono Shel Olam who is a giver, no one's going to make you into a doormat. They're just going to stand and appreciate your greatness.
There was a rabbi here who was driving carpool, and behind him was his kid and another kid. And he said, "Oh, your mom's sister's getting married? Yeah. And is she going to the wedding?" And the kid says, "No." And he says, "Oh, really? How come?" He says, they had 10 kids. She can't get away. There's 10 kids." The rabbi who was doing carpool called the mother and said, "Send your 10 kids to my house."
Wow.
True story. True story.
Love it.
I'm blown away, blown away. But this is somebody who's not just like, he's looking for a way to give. Like,
That's
how can
it.
I? And he did. He kept the kid for 10 a week to whatever it was while she went to the chassan and the sheva brachas over Shabbos
Right.
or whatever. He had all 10 kids at his house. But his wife visits today, so forget about it. But the point is that I've always had that in my head. It happened about 10 years ago, and I'm always like, you know, I'm just trying to get by. Like, how does a person become that person that would even think, like, they would hear the conversation, would think, oh, there's something I can do about it. How do you grow yourself into be that person?
So again, it starts from the way we parent our children. So the example of when your child goes to school and tell them, when they have to bring something into class, bring two, one for you and one for a girl who may have forgotten. You train a child from an early age. When you're going down the street, train your kids. I spy. I spy opportunities to help other people. And the more that you train them as a little child, you're training yourself simultaneously.
Mm.
Look for opportunities to be a giver. look for opportunities to help, and they abound. There is no limit
Mm.
to how many opportunities that we can possibly have. And that's what it's about. I remember once my daughter was got a chocolate bar for a girl who was taking an entrance exam to ninth grade. And she spent an inordinate amount of time. And I was in the car waiting and I wasn't happy. And I said to her, I don't even think this girl's going to give you anything back. She's one of many. And why'd you even do that? My daughter looked at me. She says, we're not here in this world to take. We're here in this world to give, to make other people happy. Oh, yes, that was a senior moment. Yes, yeah, that is correct. They teach me, right?
Wow,
It's good.
wow, wow,
I'm
wow.
no good.
You,
I'm no good
you're
at
done
grades.
good for to say. Well, let me ask you though, because here's the thing that in order to make this shift in our mindset to be a giver, you have to have a motivation. There has to be within what's in it for me. I'm just saying, in order to shift, like you said something, you said that, yes, what you'll get out of it is, after 120, Hashem will be proud of you. And I hear that. And I hear
You'll be proud of you now. You don't have to wait for 120. And it's not about, it's all about me and stepping out of me. Have an understanding what me is about. What does it mean to be a me? How do you define me? And that's,
tell me, I'd really like to know.
you know what a me is? I'll tell you what a me is. A me is a tzelem Elohim, a divine soul. And what makes a person a divine person is ki amarti olam chesed yibane. We are a mini world, and the way Hashem created the world was through giving, and how we create our worlds is through giving. That's where it begins and ends. And when I have my focus on that, not what am I going to get out of this? It's like you meet somebody new and you can have two mindsets in your mind. One is, oh God, tell me about yourself. What do you do? One mindset is, I need to file this in case I need protexia somewhere. I know who this person is. Or do I want to find out about a person so I know, how can I help you? How can I give to you? And that's the difference. They say Ravolba brings down, I don't know if it was about himself or somebody else, and I'll sure that when he would meet a new person, he would say, he would shake their hand, Shalom Aleichem, another Jew to love.
Mm, mm, mm,
And,
mm.
and that's what it's about. It's another Jew to help, another Jew to love, another Jew to give to. What is this
Okay,
world
so give us a
be?
practical step by step. How do we go into that person? Now, I get the philosophy about it. I get the overarching thing. I'm totally there. I'm totally with you. How, on a practical day-to-day way, do I shift myself to that way of thinking when I'm so frenzied and so much is going on?
So stop being so frenzied. Who told you you have to be so frenzied? This idea of multitasking is a misnomer, except for someone like the Rebbetzin Zatzal, who's able to write a shaila with his right hand, one shaila, and another shaila with his left hand. Most of us are not on the level of the Rebbetzin. And we know this, that when our kids come home and we're on the phone and we're, mixing the spaghetti, and they show you this little picture, this 4-year-old, and you say, "Oh, this is something." Hold on one second. Oh no, the spaghetti's over. Oh, it's so beautiful. No, 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 no. I'm not talking about being beautiful. I haven't spoken to my friend. I haven't given attention to my child, and the spaghetti is going to be overcooked.
Mushy. Yeah. So, what's the recipe for that? In what?
Make
Standing on one
spaghetti when
foot.
your kids at home.
Okay.
Um, it's being whatever you're doing, putting yourself in there. The Sif Shalom also brings down a gewaldig word of the Hasidic Rebbe was asked, I think it was the Rebbe from Kobrin, what is the most important mitzvah of the Taryag mitzvahs? Muna, Torah, Shabbos. He said, whatever mitzvah you're doing right now, that's the most important mitzvah.
Be present.
That's it. It's mindfulness. This is it. This moment with your child will never come back. Now make a level of priorities. When your husband comes home at night, he doesn't want, open the door and smile and not be on the phone. Is that so hard? That's the ability to give full attention.
Mm,
And you know he comes home the same night, same time. You know your kids come home at the same time. No phones, no cooking. I'm present for you. I'm there for you.
mm,
You know, I had an 18-year-old girl once, a very hush of a family, who she told me that for her 18th birthday, she asked her parents to take her out to a restaurant and leave their phones behind.
mm, mm. It's I'm totally with you. My last question, because we're out of time, but my last question is that, there a person gets a lot of self-identity, self-esteem by accomplishing. And there's a trade-off between accomplishing and connecting. Inverse relationship between so it's but there's no, when you're connecting, yeah, it's lovely for them, and yeah, that drawing is wonderful to your 4-year-old kid or whatever, but you would feel a lot better if the groceries got done, that your friend who you called agreed to help cook the meal for this lady at the street who had a baby, and the principal, you got back to them. Like, those are three big things make you feel like, good, I accomplished a lot. Whereas the payback for me, again, me, again, I'm living in a world of me, so I'm just saying what we're up against. It's not as rewarding or satisfying. So do you have last answer, question is, do you have an answer for how to shift the mindset of uh, uh, yeah, lessen
Thank
the, yeah, you understand the question, yeah.
you. Question. And the answer is it's not so easy because we live in the world of the Western mentality, where Western mentality bases our accomplishments on those outer levels without appreciating those small things are really what the moments of accomplishment are about. And you're correct. When we are living with that as our barometer, it's very, very hard to make a shift. When I understand that what really counts in the level of accomplishment is whatever I am doing at this moment, I am doing to the fullest of my capacity. That is the greatest accomplishment possible. And I have a little secret to tell you. When I give attention to that 4-year old will now run off and play and not be bothering me for the next 10 minutes looking for attention, that I'll then be able to call the principal and the friend and accomplish a lot more. And we have to understand that when we give really of ourselves, it creates a whole different dynamic in our home.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow,
Can
wow.
we squeeze in 2 questions?
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, we have studio audience questions. Okay, go ahead. Okay,
Okay.
Deb, go ahead.
Okay, so Tamara wants to know, you said that we're here to fix one midda. How do we know what that one midda we need to work on is? I seem to have a lot.
Excellent question. That is the quintessential question. So the Sivir Shalom answers by saying that whatever midda appears over and over again in your life, that you're constantly up against this, that's usually your core midda. And going full circle back to where we began, usually what your spouse triggers in you is a good sense of what that midda is that you have to work on. It's something that it could be anger, it could be jealousy. You just see it rearing its head over and over again. That doesn't mean you can ignore everything else. At the same time, you know this is really where the work is, and you should thank your spouse. Wow, you made it so easy for me.
Gewaltig, gewaltig. Okay, what's the other question, Deb?
Okay, Rosie's asking, I can be calm on the outside when my husband triggers me, but what do I do with the bubbling resentment inside? I can't seem to get rid of that.
Such a geweldige question, and that's true of any internal work where we need to have ways to be able to release our tension, and that may be through exercising. It may be through whatever a person does that you have a healthy release in your life, and the release is not in your house. So find some type of activity that just allows you to, I know somebody who has a punching bag. And that's what they use to release their tension. So maybe that's a little bit dramatic. Not the husband. It was a punching bag. The husband wasn't the punching bag.
Right. Hello, I think we got it. Okay, fine. Very, very good. Okay, wow. Okay, we're out of time, but this has been really, really gewaldic. I have a different mindset going forward. Thank you so much for being with us, Rebbetzin.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. This is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next time.